Hi everyone, I am Avdesh God. In this video, we will learn about what reference lines are and how to utilize the same in Tableau. Well, let's get started. As the name suggests, the reference line adds a point of reference to the view. If in case we want a specific area to be referenced, then we can certainly utilize either the reference bands or the distribution bands to shade that particular area. Moreover, we can add multiple reference lines as well in our visual based on our requirements. Let us understand more about it by building the same. But before that, let's build a visual first. Using Control key, select Segment and Ship Mode from Dimensions and drop the same over columns. Let us force this to fit the entire view. From Measures, drop the sales onto the rows. This will build us a bar chart showing the sum of sales per segment and per ship mode. Let us color code the sales as well by dragging the sales using Control key onto the color shelf of the marks card. In order to add a reference line to this view, go to Analytics tab and we can see reference lines available under Custom. Let's drag this reference line to the view. We'll get multiple options based on which we want our reference line to be added. That is, we can add a reference line either to the entire table or a reference line per pane, that is, a separate reference line for each pane. Or we can have the same even at a cell level. Let us add it to the table for the time being and hit OK. By default, Tableau will add a reference line with an aggregation of the measure as an average. If we hover over the same, we can see the average of sales for the entire view as well, which in fact the reference line represents over here. Removing a reference line is quite easy. You can either right-click on it and hit remove, or you can also select and drop it out of the view. Let us undo this for the time being. We can also see the reference line for the selected data points only out of the current view. Using the drag option with the left click of your mouse or your trackpad, select the data points based on which you want your new reference line to be calculated. Based on these selected data points, a temporary reference line will be added to the view. We can again see the average of sales by hovering over this new temporary reference line. To go back, either hit Escape key or click anywhere on the view. In order to edit the reference line and change its properties, right-click on the same and select Edit. Tableau will open up a dialog box for us. We are having multiple options over here. On the very top, in this dialog box, we have an option to change this reference line to a reference band or either a distribution and even to a box plot. We will discuss about this in a while. Next, we have got the scope These are the same options that we got initially while we were dragging the reference lines from the analytics pane onto the view. If we change the scope to per pane, then we'll end up having a separate reference line for each pane. If we have a look at the background, we can see a separate reference line for each pane, that is for consumer, for corporate, and for home office as well. We can even change the scope to per cell, and in that case, each cell will have a separate reference line of its own. Let's switch back to the initial scope, that is, the entire table. Thereafter, we have got multiple options to modify and re-evaluate this reference line. We can select the measure based on which we want the reference line to be calculated. As we have a single measure over here in this view, so that's why we can see the sum of sales over here. Apart from that, we can see the measures which are coming up due to the parameters that are already available in this view. If in case we have multiple measures, then we can select any measure of our choice out of this drop-down. Thereafter, we can modify the aggregation as well. By default, we'll get this as average. But we have got numerous options out here, such as total, sum, constant, minimum, maximum, average, and median as well. Let us set it to maximum, and the average line, along with its label, will change accordingly in the background. Then we have an option of what do we want to show on labels. We can either show none, which will remove the labels from the reference line. Thereafter, we have an option to show up the value, which will eventually add the calculated value of the maximum of sales that we have selected right now. After that, we have got computation, which is the default value. And thereafter, we have got custom. This will open up a new box, and herein we can enter any of the default label that we want to go ahead with. Let us enter max followed by a colon in capitals. We have got an arrow mark as well over here. On clicking on this, we'll get multiple options to add to a custom label. We can add a field name, a field label, a computation, and a value as well. Let us select value. And over here in the background, we can see maximum, there is a constant or an acronym for the computation, followed by colon, and then we have the value for the maximum of sum of sales in this view. In this manner, user can quite easily get to know about what this reference line is representing and what its value is. In the similar manner, we can also select the hover over information, that is the tooltip, to be either automatic or custom or none as well. Let us keep it as it is. Thereafter, we have got multiple formatting options. We can format the line by changing the line type. We can also change the thickness of this reference line, followed by the color formatting as well. Apart from that, we can also fill the above and below sections of the reference line with the shade of our desired color choice. Well, this can be quite useful if we are utilizing this reference line as a goal of a KPI. Let us close this dialog box for the time being. By right-clicking on the axis, we can either add a new reference line, edit this reference line, or even remove the reference line as well. Let's remove this for the time being. In the similar fashion, we can add up a reference band as well to this view. All we need to do is drag the same from the Analytics pane under Custom to the view. Again, we'll get multiple options. We can add the reference band to the entire table or even at the cell level. Let us add it at a pane level in this case. Reference band consists of a range of values to shade an area consisting of a minimum and a maximum value defining that area. In this dialog box for the reference bands, we have got the same option at the top, wherein we can toggle between the reference line, reference band, distribution band, or even the box plots. Thereafter, we have got the scope. We can select it to be the entire table, per pane, or per cell as well. Thereafter, we have got the formatting options for this particular reference band. Initially, we have got the band from option, wherein we can select this particular starting point of the reference band. After that, we have got band to option, wherein we can select the end of this particular reference band. Again, we have got the same options over here. We can select the value based on which we want the reference band to start from. We can select the aggregation as well. Finally, we can change the label and the tooltip as well. Same are the options for band 2 as well. Again, we can change the line formatting, and finally, we can change the fill color as well. Let us close this for the time being. In order to remove a band, right-click on it and select Remove Reference Line. Finally, in the similar fashion, we can add up a distribution band as well. Drag the same to the view and we'll select the pane for this time. Tableau will again open up a dialog box over here. The first two options are exactly the same. That is, we can choose between a reference line, band, a distribution band, and the box plot. Thereafter, we have got the scope. After that, we have got an option on how this distribution band is computed. Right now, it's based on the percentages, and that too on the sum of sales aggregated as an average. We can change this distribution band to be calculated based on the percentiles as well. Let us select that. We can even move to quartiles and standard deviation. Based on that, the options on the right hand side will change accordingly. In the similar fashion, we can define the labels out of none, value, computation, and custom. In the similar fashion, we can modify the tooltip as well. Then we have the formatting options. We can change the type of line, the thickness, and the color of the line as well. Thereafter, we can change the fill option of our choice. Let us close this for the time being. In this video, we learned about the reference lines, the reference bands, and distribution bands in Tableau. We also learned about how to add and modify the same in your view. In the next video, we'll learn about clustering in Tableau.